Alrighty, YouTube, welcome back. Or should I say welcome to the home stretch of Rat 10. With the rear end, the transmission, and the engine now all mounted permanently again, it's time to make the damn thing run. But to make the engine run, it's sadly gonna take a lot more work. I don't know if you've ever heard of the 90-10 rule before, that being where 90% of the work takes 10% of the time, and 10% of the work takes 90% of the time. I am now in that 10% category. Not everything I have to do is hard, so to say, but I have a lot of little things left to do and they're gonna take their sweet time. So to start, I need to dress this engine with the exhaust and the intake as the first big pieces to make it run. And the vibe of today's video is gonna be a little bit different starting off because I actually have a lot of this prepared already. I've been doing some things behind the scenes. You can already see I have some studs in the side of the engine here. I'm gonna slap the other ones in quickly. And now I can go ahead and show you this guy. This little piece of cast iron is a cast iron, obviously, turbo manifold from a company called SPA Turbo. This is a direct bolt-on turbo manifold for a Chevy 153, which is basically what the Marine engine was based off of. So you would think, oh, this probably just bolts right onto the engine. Well, you would be right. It does indeed go onto the engine, but there's one big thing about it. While the ports do line up, you can see there's a little bit of port matching issue on the main two here, and this one over here is kind of garbage as well. The front one's actually not so bad, but that's not exactly acceptable. There is also the fact that there's no actual mounting holes for it. The way these engines used to work, the manifolds would go on separately, and then there's these little hold downs that hold these little tabs on the sides of the manifolds as well to suck it all together. I'm probably still gonna have to do something like that, just make some little tabs to grab this manifold as well as the intake manifold. What the studs allow me to do is to make a separate manifold that I can bolt on and then clamp this down with some kind of clamp on the stud as well. Anyways, I do have some solutions for this port matching issue. Put this guy on the floor. Now I have this actually in pretty good shape manifold gasket from that OMC 3-liter I showed you in a previous video. And this obviously matches up to the engine very well. It also lets you see even more how off the porting is on this manifold when you compare the two. As you can see, this manifold is meant for an engine with ports that are like half the size. What I did to fix this, there's a company local to me known as IM Industries. They basically do metal work, fab work, cutting, anything you can imagine that's metal related. And I took them my manifold and the gasket, and they made me up this precision cut piece of steel. This is just 1/2-inch mild steel. And as you can see, when you compare it to the original gasket now, hopefully you can tell some of these ports have moved a little bit. When I took it to them, they actually took a scan of the manifold and of the gasket, and they port matched the two to be as close as they can get. What this allows me to do is with the original gasket on the engine and this precision cut flange that now matches the manifold, it matches this port and this port very well. The middle exhaust port, not so much, but because it's 1/2-inch, I can now die grind to port match the head to the wrong exhaust manifold. Now I did actually have a gasket for this manifold, and I ended up cutting it into a few pieces. It was a 1-piece gasket that covered every port. These cover their respective ports on this half of the intermediate plate, and then obviously the gasket on the other side seals the whole thing. So then when you bolt on the manifold, this now gives me a nice starting point to start making the mount for the turbo and a nice platform to build the intake off of. Because I have these studs here, I can make an intake that bolts onto them separately. And then for this manifold, off of each stud, I can make those little clamps that will hold this down in all its other places. Now, while this does look all fine and dandy, this itself creates a problem. I will be using my mock turbo for this. This is a whole set turbo. It's the actual brand name version of the one I'm going to be using. The other one's just funny because it says Turbone on it. This guy, if I can get this in here one-handed, oh boy. This creates two problems. The first one is that you can see it's not even touching the manifold yet because the exhaust housing is currently sitting on the steering shaft right here. The second problem with that is it's kind of hard to see, and I didn't notice it when I first bought the manifold. The flange doesn't sit perfectly square. It actually points kind of forward. Well, I guess down more this way. When the turbo is in there, the compressor housing is going to be pointing forward, and it's going to look all kind of weird. Allow me to show you my solution to both of those problems. To start, I bought some stainless flanges. These are from Vibrant Performance. So this one will go here, or more so this one, which is got this 45-degree pipe on this flange here. Much like that, the second flange will be able to sit up a little bit higher. It is really, really ugly looking. I'm not exactly happy with the way it's gonna look, but for this season, it's gonna be okay. And to correct the forward-facing turbo, I have this tube that is tacked at a little bit of an angle off of that. So about the same amount that it's tilting forward, I have it tilting backward, which does actually cancel that angle out pretty damn good. Now you may notice, this is indeed at least tacked onto this flange. I have now spent about an hour plus just in stainless. I haven't welded much steel with TIG, welded a bit of aluminum, and I've never touched stainless. So I was trying to get some practice in. You can see it was looking okay. I'm not gonna call it good. Actually, okay is a bit of a stretch. This is pretty garbage, let's be honest. And my practice beads in here looked like shit. The ones on the bottom here, the rest of them, ugly. I got incredibly annoyed with this and tried getting a few tacks on this piece, which do look okay. So I'm gonna continue just sending it and hoping for the best. Stainless does need a back purge as well, which you can see off to the side here. My 100% argon bottle, I can't find, and really I can't afford a double regulator for it. So I'm using my pure argon for welding. And then as a little bit of a back purge, I have my MIG bottle, which is like a C25 mix, onto this little green cap that does happen to fit this pipe. And I just have the line stuck on my bench. And this is the setup that I'm gonna weld this in. Is it gonna work? Probably not. But my most likely terrible stainless welds are gonna be a little bit stronger than my mediocre mild steel MIG welds. So now that you're all caught up to exactly where I'm sitting, let's continue welding. Before I start welding, I would like to apologize for how bad this is gonna be, but I'm learning. Hold that post flow. Close the bottle. Actually, you know what? It doesn't look terrible. The beads all over the place because I'm so shaky, but I'll show you what I just added there. Hopefully you can see that. It's not bad. It's not good. I literally have like 1 hour, if that, into any kind of stainless, and I hated what I was doing. The fact that this looks remotely close to something presentable is a miracle. I am gonna do what I said too and tack on that second flange because I do wanna at least test fit the turbo before I get too far, and then we will see. This is so dumb. Okay. If this doesn't explain to you the kind of shitbox stuff I do, I don't know what will. I'm just gonna send it. Okay, the bead is ugly, but it doesn't look bad. Here's the bead I just did there. It looks terrible, but the color is okay. It's not turning black. As far as the gaps in the flange here, we're gonna work through it, okay? All right, let's go fit up that second flange. Okay. I'm not so angry about that. That is secured. That's hot. Don't touch freshly welded parts. Right there. Let's go tack that on. Okay, there's tack weld on it. Okay, that's all you're getting up close. That was a mess. Oh, even when I do normal things, there's still shitbox. Okay, there is only the one tack on the top side, but I just want to see how this is gonna look. Will you hold a turbo up though? Okay, you know what? That is what I like to call close enough. Yep, we're gonna weld it. That one sucked a lot. What is going on? It's like shaking around. What is going on here? I pulled that away too fast. Ah, fuck. I gotta turn the camera off. I'm sorry. I'm gonna show you this piece when it's done, if it gets done. Okay, fresh off the welder, first thoughts, it's not bad. For a guy who touched stainless for maybe an hour's worth of practice, got mad at it, said, screw this, I'm just gonna send it, and then turning out something that actually looks, you know, somewhat like a stainless part. I don't know, it's not bad. It's not good. There's a couple spots right here. Looks like I cooked it pretty hot because I welded on the inside here. I was debating going through and the gaps that I filled, which actually filled very nicely by the way, just welding the insides as well, which I still might do yet. Oh, it's a pretty beefy piece of steel. The back purging didn't really work all that well, but I've made way worse looking things than this. I'm gonna call that a win. Yeah, let's go bolt it on. The other thing to note, the flanges did warp a little bit, so I'll probably hit that on my belt sander just to take them down. It sounds pretty solid. I don't know. Those welds aren't that bad. I really wish I could mount this like this. This would be so much nicer. It would tuck it up nice and close to the engine. Oh, this is gonna be really far away, isn't it? All right, the crowning jewel. Ooh. All right, that's not so bad. I'm not exactly happy with how far it sits away from the engine. I didn't get it perfectly straight with the engine either, which is fine. God, it sits really far away. Huh. My piping is gonna be very interesting. Probably turn it this way and then routing something like that is gonna be the best bet. Because I'm gonna have to go into an intercooler and then either back over into oh, right! There's an intake that's gotta go here. It's okay that this sits that far away. Oh, that makes way more sense. Okay, maybe I'm not so sad about that. Yeah, you know what? That's acceptable. Damn, dude, that is badass. What I might do is obviously a lot of weight. If I can add a brace off of one of these bolts, or what I can do is add a bracket on the bottom somewhere to support this to the engine. It's not bad. I do still need to make an intake for it. It's gotta be completely custom. I have put about 0 thought into what I'm gonna do here yet. I honestly have no idea what I'm gonna do here. So that can wait. This is gonna be brutal. I'm gonna pop this off quick, and there are a few other loose ends that I can tie up while we're here. I'm gonna add that little support piece that I wanted to add to here. That's probably plenty. That's probably too hot. Not bad. Serves a purpose. Sit on the belt sander for a couple hours. I'm pretty much just gonna sit here with this, sand it down until it gets rid of this warp. I don't anticipate it to be very fun. It's probably gonna take forever, but we'll see. Okay, I've been at this for maybe 10 minutes and this is how much it's taken off. This is gonna take me a while. It'll happen off camera. It'll be installed eventually. But for now, I'm gonna put this aside and move on to something else. So the one piece in here that needs addressing is the clutch master cylinder. I gotta get this out of here. So the clutch master is fit for this type of fitting. This is like a bubble flare, which is gross in most terms. So this is probably a metric fitting. Here's the solution. This guy in here. Just kidding, I don't actually have it. I gotta run to my dad's place. I'll be right back. This is a 1/4" NPT pipe tap. The plan here is to change this metric garbage to 1/4" NPT with this brass adapter and then the steel fitting to AN to hopefully use this clutch. We'll do this pretty tight. All right, here is my clutch master adapted from metric to AN. Not the prettiest looking thing in the world, but should work, hopefully. Let's slap this bad boy back in there. Man, if that line was like 2 inches inches longer. I did buy this little extension line because I knew that was going to happen. So a little AN union, and then we can have a little bit of extra length to tie it up under there somewhere. This might have been a little bit too long of an extension, actually. Hook you up to the master cylinder. Okay. All right, get some brake fluid up in there. I want to see if it'll gravity bleed through this system at all. It doesn't seem like it is. I'm gonna go pump the pedal very slowly to see if that moves. Nothing, eh? Oh, it is dripping out of the master cylinder. Okay, so it did gravity bleed. Can you see that though? There. Okay, well that's a good sign. Okay, I'm going to try to set you up in the cab. I'm gonna try to actually bleed this in the cab. I'm gonna try to pump the pedal a few times, crack the screw, and see if we start getting fluid coming out. It needs to add a seat in this damn truck. Oh, I heard air come out at that time. Now for the fun of pumping the clutch, opening the bleeder screw, oh, and repeating. Well, she squirted on me that time. That's a good sign. That came out faster than I thought it was going to. Shut up. All right, I have one thorough mess on the floor right now. Okay, there was definitely pressure because I felt the pedal drop that time. That's good. It's weird, I'm not getting the same amount of fluid every time. Oh, I got pedal pressure this time. Oh, lots of it. Hell yeah. Ah, yeah, there we go. Ooh, it's feeling like a clutch. Oh, shit. I don't know if you heard it, but I definitely just ran the reservoir out of fluid. Now I have to do this all over again, so bear with me. Now that my dumbass actually knows how this master cylinder is working, it sucks in way more fluid on the upstroke than I thought it did. It does have a delay, too. Oh yeah, she's moving. I can see the lines moving. Oh, that's so cool. Ooh. Oh, that's a stiff boy. Holy. Oh, yeah, baby. It's way more fluid than you think. Pulling my foot off the pedal now. There she goes. Alrighty, check this out. Clutch is now completely bled and pretty much ready to go. Yeah, the pedal's now got pressure. Absolutely loads of pressure. The fun thing is you can actually see the lines moving because they're attached to the housing. Push the pedal now. You can see them moving with the bearing. And for the even crazier part, I'm going to push the clutch all the way to the floor, put it in second gear, nice and snappy. Take the foot off the clutch. Transmission is obviously stuck because it's in gear. And to verify it's working, we can push the clutch pedal and we can turn the transmission. That is a big win. Oh my God, I'm so happy to see that working. And if you listen very closely, when I tap the pedal just a little bit, that little ticking noise is the bearing taking up that gap that we have in there. So this worked perfectly. Man, that setup procedure was worth it. Awesome. That is a big win. So I've never really discussed it or shown anything about it. If it's not obvious, that's the drive shaft. As you can see, I have a Bluetooth one currently, and that's not exactly gonna work. I originally thought that the drive shaft that I pulled out of Rat 10 from the 2.5 was gonna work, but it turns out that this is actually way too long. I have this one, which came out of my all-wheel drive Bravada that is now in the scrapyard. This one is far too short by quite a bit. Obviously, the factory Corvette drive shaft is a little on the short side, so I can't use this one either. So kind of behind the scenes, I've been trying to find something that's gonna work for this setup. Just so happens I have a dad and friends who are all into cars as well, so he was able to talk to one of his buddies and find me this. Now this is complete. This ended up happening behind the scenes because of circumstances and such. Also due to the fact that I have no idea how to build a drive shaft properly. This is a stock length drive shaft from a second gen Camaro. Not modified at all, steel. It is a little skinny, but that's whatever. This is the slip yoke that I pulled off of the Corvette drive shaft which obviously works with the ZF6 transmission. Those two pieces didn't exactly connect together very well. My dad knows more people than I do who do certain kinds of things for a living. He sourced the drive shaft from one buddy, and he called up one of his other buddies who was able to find me a set of these Quality Gear adapter U-joints. The joints the Camaro use are larger in cap size. Like the width is pretty much the same, and then the Corvette uses just slightly smaller caps. So this U-joint adapts both of those together. Got one of those for the front, one of those for the rear. And the crazy thing about this, take it, stuff it underneath the truck here. And slide that all the way in, so that's butted all the way up. And you're never gonna believe this, stock length second gen Camaro drive shaft. Look at that. Perfect. It does stick out of the transmission just a little bit, which is okay. You don't want it butted all the way into the transmission, of course. And because the transmission and the rear end are both solid mounted, the height will never change, the length will never change. So I can have this as close to the floor as I want. Otherwise, that's perfect. This couldn't have worked any better. Well, connected except for the caps for the U-joints. I have them sitting in the garage somewhere. They'll probably just happen off camera because I have no idea where I put them. Okie dokie, I tracked down the straps and bolts for the drive shaft. Gonna put a little blue Loctite on each of them and slap it together. Drive shaft is officially installed, and we can even drive a vehicle like this. All the mounting and engineering for the rear end, all the mounting and engineering for the transmission and the engine mounting, all paid off so good because look at this. That drive shaft is dead center in the truck. What's even better, you can really get a taste of the drive shaft angle now because of where the diff and the transmission are mounted. That is going at a perfect angle. This should work great. The only issue, however, is that there's still some clearance issues. It's touching somewhere else, like right here. Oh yeah, like right here. So I'm gonna cut out more of this and see if I can get some open gap. Okay, so, wow, that floor has a lot of flex to it. I now have a nice gap to that drive shaft. I might actually end up cutting most of it out to the back there, but you get the point. That is nice. Cool, that covers that. Now that the drive shaft is all in and sorted out, I want to move on to something up in the front, that being the valve cover. Because if you can see, the valve cover doesn't exactly sit all the way where it's supposed to. It's close, but anywhere there's a stud, the valve cover's hitting the nut. I'm gonna take this on a die grinder. The ones on the inside, I'm pretty sure are okay. But the outside ones definitely need clearance. Okay, after a closer look, I actually need to remove more than I thought. So I'm probably gonna take out most of the ridge where the nuts are. Like all the way around the valve cover is gonna need just some notching. It's what we gotta do. It sucks, time consuming, but whatever. Okay, I think if we do them all like that, we should be pretty good. I'm gonna go check that. Yeah, so they all definitely need that much taken off. I'm gonna have to glue the gasket to the valve cover, which I'm no stranger to, but that'll be pretty damn good. Yeah, wow, I hacked a ton out of that thing. Maybe a little more than I needed to. Oh well, spare valve cover for a reason. How does she fit? Oh, perfectly. Yeah, I definitely cleared a little bit too much out of that, but that'll be perfect. Cool. All right, with that out of the way, that's probably going to be it for this week. I had a little bit of an unproductive week. I didn't get a lot done. I didn't have a lot of motivation, but we got some important things done, like the turbo mounting, the valve cover is a big one, the clutch is a huge one, and the drive shaft is also a huge one. I do have some ideas building in the back of my head for how I want to do this intake manifold, whether or not I use some of these pieces from my dad. He's into 3rd gen Camaro, so he has some tune port parts lying around. These runners actually, with some modification, would fit right between the exhaust manifold, and the ports almost line up. So at least the start of an idea for an intake. Maybe I can even use the original tune port. I don't know. I'm also on the edge of just building just like a tube log manifold that I can put the TBI on for this season just to get it running. I don't know. We'll see how she goes. So with all that checked off the list, I got some more big things coming. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you come back for more. Thanks for watching.